Okay, welcome back everybody. So this video is a little different than most of my videos because today I'm going to be working with wood, and in most of my videos it's cars and electronics and stuff like that, but there's a lot of videos on the internet about how to build a outdoor Jenga set using 2x4s, and you can see kind of here's what most of them look like. You've just got these 54 wooden blocks made out of 2x4s, and this makes for a decent outdoor Jenga, but I want to show you how to build this. But I want to show you how to take it up a notch and have the best outdoor Jenga. So start with everything that you need to build this is in the description below, including links to some of the kind of unusual things that I'm using. But you're going to start by taking some 2x4s, ideally untreated 2x4s, and it'll take about 9 of them, and you're going to cut them, 54 of them, to a length of 10.5 inches. That's the length required to give you the square when you're playing Jenga. So then you end up with this finished product, 54 10.5 inch 2x4s, and you technically have a working Jenga at this point, but let's take it up a notch and make it a little better. You can do this, I'm using 180 grit sandpaper here. You can do this by hand with a handheld sander, palm sander. Thankfully I have a little small belt sander here. It makes it a lot quicker. I'm just rounding the edges out so that they look a lot smoother, and then I'm also sanding the faces down because, as you'll see here, I'm going to throw a little bit of stain on them. Whatever color you want to do is fine. This is just to kind of give it a little weather protection. I'm making this video about a year after I built them, and they've been left outside many times, and they really show no signs of wear whatsoever. So I just used a very light colored stain. I just wanted to make it so they didn't look like unfinished 2x4s and give them a little bit of color to them. I kind of wish I'd gone a little bit darker, but this works and gives them a little longevity. And as you can see, some kids decided to join in as well. So now I'm going to take a piece of plywood. You really only need a piece of plywood about 12 by 12 inches. And I'm just kind of laying it out because I'm going to build a base for it. And what I'm doing, I've got some 1x2s here. And you'll understand what I'm making in the end. I'm taking and making a base that's going to also have walls around it so that it sits up. Gives you a place to kind of store your Jenga. It kind of holds them together. It also gives you a nice flat surface to use when you're playing Jenga, and it all makes sense. You'll understand why this is not your typical average everyday Jenga. This is your Jenga on steroids. I think you'll really like the outcome of it. I put some nice little flourishes on it that you don't have to. And please don't comment on my table saw use. I was pretty new at using table saws. I realized some of the methods I used were not up to snuff and the safest methods. I have learned better now, and I know how to use push blocks and such. So here you go. If you have enough clamps, you can do this all at once. At the time I did not, so I'm just putting some wood glue and gluing these 1x2s down. You'll need basically 2 1x2s that are 12 inches long and 2 1x2s that are 11 inches long, and then just some wood glue. And ideally you'll want some clamps to hold it together while it dries. And like I said, I only had 2 clamps. If I had had more, which I do now, I could have done this all at once, but step by step, one thing at a time. So now that it's dry, I'm going to make a line from both diagonals so that I can get the center of the board. And I've got these little bubble levels. And what I'm doing is I'm drilling a 1/2 inch hole. And then on the back side, I'm just kind of drilling a half depth, 3/4 inch hole so the bubble level will fit in there. I'm using a little bit of epoxy. I chose some clear epoxy just because some of it's going to squirt out and I don't want it to interfere with the bubble level. I tried to clean it up best I could with a toothpick. Also, make sure the bubble level is level on a level surface, and it shows level while it dries. Then I just hand sanded the entire base. Just wanted to get it so it would hold some paint. And of course you can choose whatever color paint you want. I've put a little piece of tape over the bubble level. I painted the base black, as you can see. Once that dried, I taped it off so that I wouldn't get any paint on the black. I also just put a little piece of cardboard in the middle there and taped it off, and you'll understand why. You don't have to do this, but this is why. So I got my wife to print out an H for our last name on her vinyl cutter, and I've just stuck it down there over the black paint, and then I went over the top of this. Basically, you see my dog Bailey makes an appearance too. Everybody wants to be in the video. So then I just painted over the top with green. And then that leaves you with this finishing touch. I also put a couple coats of clear. Now here I'm marking the halfway point on all 4 sides, which obviously is just 6 inches. And I've got these little feet. Again, they're in the description below as well. And depending on which feet you get, follow their instructions. These have you drill a 1/4 inch hole for the little plastic insert to go into. And I put a little piece of blue tape on the drill bit so that I would know the proper depth and wouldn't over drill the hole. So get these holes drilled, and then you'll just basically take the 4 feet. Again, you don't have to do this. This is just me kind of taking it up a notch. And then just kind of tap them in. Once you get them tapped in, the little plastic inserts will stay, and then you can unscrew the feet. And now this is the finished product. We have a stand with a bubble level, so we know if it's level. You can also see I filled in the backside with some wood putty, not very well, but just to cover that hole where the bubble level was. You don't have to do that, just wanted it to look a little cleaner. So now if you need the feet, you don't have to. They unscrew really easily and quickly. If you're playing on grass or something, they make it much easier to get a flat surface to play on, because grass is never perfectly level. So you have a perfectly flat surface here, and you've got the feet to adjust it if it's not, so you can play in some conditions where you wouldn't have been able to before. You're not going to be able to play on a 45-degree slope on somebody's backyard, but you can play on a lot of other surfaces that normally would have made playing Jenga a nightmare. And you can just adjust the feet to get it level. So I took the feet out, and then this was my carrying case that I kind of built. I went through a lot of different versions, and I kind of ended up on this one, and I'm very happy with it. I'm not saying it's the best way, or certainly not the only way, but I bought these little straps pretty cheap off Amazon. They're also in the description below. And then what you can do is stack your blocks up like this, and I recommend you stack them in this way instead of alternating like you would for Jenga. You can try that, but you'll find that they tend to fall out more often if you do it that way. Whereas if you stack them this way, it allows the straps to exert pressure pretty equally across them. So just throw these straps on here, kind of cinch them up pretty tight. And the beauty is by doing it this way, when you use these straps as a handle, it causes the pressure to increase on the wood, and you have almost zero chance of them falling out. So I'm just going to take some scissors, cut off all the extra strap, and then I took a little lighter and kind of melted the ends, these little nylon ends, just so that they didn't come unraveled. Again, this thing is a year old now, and it's still in perfect shape. So this is pretty much what you end up with. You end up with this carrying case. Now I will tell you it's heavy, and your younger kids won't be able to carry it, but most teenagers and adults would have no trouble carrying this around. But you can see it works out pretty great. And when you grab the strap as a handle, it kind of cinches up real nice and holds the wood, keeps it from falling out. If you do this, if you arrange the wood, like I said, in Jenga fashion, they do tend to fall out for the same reason that you can pull them out during Jenga. Because all the wood's not the same thickness, there's imperfections that can cause gaps, which means even with some pressure, a block of wood can fall out. But that's pretty much it. We've been using this thing for a year. It's been left outside probably half a dozen times in the rain, and it still works great. It shows some scratches on it, but that's it. We actually get asked to bring this to get-togethers and parties all the time, especially during the summer. Everybody loves to play Jenga outside, and this is a super cheap way. I mean, these outdoor Jenga sets are around 70 or 80 bucks or more on some of the websites. So I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck building yours, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. See you next time.